Good morning, mathematicians. Today is April 30th, 2020. Today we will be learning about composite shapes. Lesson objective: I can use two-dimensional shapes to create a composite shape and compose new shapes from the composite shape. Let's start with our warm-up. Go ahead, you have 30 seconds to write the number in 3 different ways. Go. Ten seconds left. And stop. Let's go ahead and check your work, mathematicians. By looking at what I see in the screen, there's tens and ones. I see 6 tens and 4 ones, so I could write 6 tens and 4 ones. We can also write it as 60 plus 4, and we could write it as 64. Go ahead and check your work. Let's read the problem. Nico eats lunch at 12 o'clock. He plays baseball at 4 in the afternoon. He goes to school at 8 in the morning. In what order do the events happen? I'm going to read it one more time. Nico eats lunch at 12 o'clock. He plays baseball at 4 in the afternoon. He goes to school at 8 in the morning. In what order do the events happen? Go ahead and think which happens first, which happens second, and which happens third. I'll give you guys a minute. Go. Ten seconds left. And stop. All right, mathematicians, so in what order do the events happen? Okay, so first Nico goes to school, then he eats lunch, and last he plays baseball. Why? Well, because he goes to school at 8 in the morning, he eats lunch at 12 o'clock, and last he plays baseball at 4 in the afternoon. Awesome job. Today we will be learning how to make composite shapes. And we will also explore how can you use two-dimensional shapes to make a composite shape. I want you to look at the screen. I have a rocket. Next to the rocket, there's an outline of a rocket. We are being asked to use pattern blocks to make the rocket shown. It's asking us to draw lines to show our model. Boys and girls, in your book, in the bottom of page 633, you will find 5 different pattern blocks. You could cut them out and play with them to find which ones you would use for the rocket. Go ahead, I'll give you some time. Okay. So at the very top, we could see that if we put a line right there, we can use a triangle for the top. Then we can use a square for the second part. We can use a hexagon for the middle and a trapezoid for the base. Is this what you saw? Remember, there's more than one way to find and to build composite shapes. But in order to learn a little bit more, let's go ahead and watch the video.
Make new figures.
It's time for a figure magic show. I'll start with 2 squares. I'll say the magical words, put together, and look what happens. The 2 squares turned into a rectangle. But you don't have to be a magician to perform this trick.
You can put figures together and take them apart to make new figures.
Let's take a closer look. There are 2 squares. If we put the 2 squares together, look what happens. We make a new figure. Now, instead of 2 squares, we have 1 rectangle. So, put together 2 squares to make a rectangle.
I have another trick to show you. Watch this hexagon very closely. I'll say the magic words, take apart, and look what happens. The hexagon turned into 2 trapezoids.
Now let's try it. We can move the top half of the hexagon away from the bottom half of the hexagon. Look what happens. We made 2 trapezoids.
Making new figures is fun.
All right, mathematicians, we just learned that we can use different shapes to make a new shape. That new shape would be a composite shape. You can put together shapes to make a new shape. This new shape is called a composite shape. If you notice, they have a rhombus and a triangle. And when they put those 2 shapes together, they make a trapezoid. So today we will be exploring how can we put shapes together to build a new shape. Take, for instance, this problem right here. It is asking us to use 2 pattern blocks to make each shape. Draw a line to show your model. Circle the blocks you used. If you turn to page 662, you will see this same problem. Now look carefully. We have a rhombus, 2 squares, and a trapezoid. What 2 shapes would you use to make the rectangle located in the bottom? Very good. We can use the 2 squares and put them together to make the rectangle. Describe the composite shape shown. Okay, there is 2 squares at the bottom. Then there's a trapezoid in the middle and a triangle at the top. Now, using those same shapes, I want you to create 2 new shapes. Remember, you can use the cutouts from your math book to make the new shapes. Go ahead, I'll give you a few minutes. I'll give you 1 minute to build 2 different shapes using the same blocks. Ready? Begin. Awesome job, mathematicians. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer because you're creating whatever new shape you want using those same shapes. I have an example for you. See, you could have made something like shape number 1 and then something like shape number 2. Those two are composite shapes because we use different shapes to make a new shape. Okay? Can you describe shape number 1? Excellent. So at the bottom of the shape, we have a triangle followed by 2 squares, and at the top, we have a trapezoid. What about shape number 2? Excellent. The base of the shape is a trapezoid, and on top of it, to the right side, we have a triangle, and on the left side, we have 2 squares stacked upon each other. Now look at the shapes you created. Can you describe your shapes? Awesome, mathematicians. Now go to page 668 in your math book. Okay, we're still working with composite shapes. Now problem number 1 is asking us to circle the pattern blocks used to make the composite shape. Then use the same blocks to make a new shape. Draw your shape. What 2 shapes were used to create this new shape? Yes, the rhombus and the trapezoid. Now in your math book, please use these 2 shapes, the rhombus and the trapezoid, to create a new shape. Please make sure that it's different from the one they built. Awesome job. Think about what we've learned so far. Go ahead and describe 2 shapes you could put together to make a rectangle. Excellent. Yes, you can use 2 squares to build a rectangle. Now, how can you find which shapes are needed to make composite shapes? Yes, we can break them apart to find the shapes that were used to make the new shape. All right, mathematicians, let's go ahead and solve the hot problem. It says, if the 4 shapes are combined, what shape do they make? Tell how you know. Look carefully at the 4 shapes located to the right of the screen. If we combine all 4 shapes, what new shape do they make? How do you know? Excellent. So yes, if we combine the 4 shapes, the new shape will be a circle. The new shape will not have any sides or vertices. Now let's look at this problem. Alex has a hexagon. He cuts it apart into a trapezoid and 3 triangles. Draw lines to show this. Explain your answer. Go ahead and look at the hexagon carefully, and let's read one more time what it says that Alex did. It says that he cuts it apart into a trapezoid and 3 triangles. Draw lines to show this. Explain your answer. Alex cuts it in 2 pieces. Then he cuts 1 piece into 3 triangles. That would look something like this. So first he cuts it in half. Then one of the halves he's going to cut into 3 triangles. Is this what you wrote? Excellent job. Now, on your own, I want you to solve all the problems from pages 661 to 680. When you are finished, go ahead and send me a text letting me know that you are done. All right, I'll see you soon, mathematicians. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.